Hello, welcome to my how to solve video for my puzzle called 2 Degrees. This is my first attempt at diagonal Kropki, which ended up being pretty interesting. And then I just added some thermos to make the solving flow a bit better. But the idea behind this is pretty similar if you've played any of my diagonal non-consecutive puzzles, but I will go over the rules in full right now. So first we have these thermometers, which have a bulb end, and then they have a line that comes out of the bulb. So there's this thermometer and this thermometer. The rule here is that digits must strictly increase from the bulb end. So if there was a 2 in this bulb, then this would have to be 3 or higher. So this could be 3 or 4, but it can't be 1. And it can't be 2. All right, so that is thermometers, pretty simple. The more complex rule is the Kropki rule. So we have black dots and white dots. And actually in this puzzle, we just have one of each. But in general, diagonal Kropki says that 2 cells that are diagonally separated by a black dot must have a ratio of 1 to 2. So, for example, if there were a 8 here, then this would have to be 4 because the ratio between them is 1 to 2. So the possibilities are, say, 1, 2, 2, 4, 3, 6, or 4, 8, and the order doesn't matter. So it's not like the bottom one is lower than the top one or anything like that. So the order doesn't matter, but it has to be that pair. And because the dots are diagonal, that applies in both directions. So these 2 cells have to have a ratio of 1 to 2, and these 2 cells have to have a ratio of 1 to 2. The white dots are similar in that they still affect the diagonals, but it means that they have to be consecutive, or a different way of putting that is the difference between them has to be 1. So if you do the larger one minus the smaller one, that has to exactly equal 1 for the diagonals across a white dot. So if I were to put 3 here, then this has to be 4. And because it's on the thermo, it can't be 2. So that here I could, for example, have 4 and then 3 or 5. All right, so the final rule is that all black and white dots are given. All possible black and white dots are given. So that's what people call a negative constraint. And so the way to think about that is anywhere that we have 2 diagonal cells that are not separated by a dot cannot have a ratio of 1 to 2 and cannot be consecutive. So if this were a 4, then this cell couldn't be a 5 because those are consecutive. It couldn't be a 3 because those are consecutive. It couldn't be a 2 because these have a ratio of 1 to 2. And it can't be an 8 because these have a ratio of 1 to 2. So keep that in mind for the rest of the puzzle. You will definitely need that to solve this puzzle. All right, so those are all the rules. Take some time to absorb them. Watch again if you didn't quite get it. And think about what kinds of strategies you can use, especially with the negative constraint for everywhere else in the puzzle that isn't this area. And with that, there is a link below in the description if you would like to try this. Something to keep in mind is that FPuzzles does not natively support the diagonal Kropki constraint, so it will enforce the thermos for you. So if you put a 2 here and then a 3 here, it'll call you out on that. But it will not, and it will enforce regular Sudoku rules, like 2 2s in the same box here. But it will not enforce the diagonal Kropki. So if I do 3 4 or 4 5 here, then it'll let you do that, but that's against the rules of this puzzle. So you need to enforce that yourself and be careful. Also, just something to point out is that FPuzzles does have a solve button, but it's not going to work because again, FPuzzles does not have built in the Kropki constraint. So with that, I am going to get started. So clearly there's nothing anywhere in this puzzle to even work with until we deal with this area here. So the best place to start is this long thermo. Well, I call it long, but it's the longer of the two at least. So a nice trick for thermos is we can start at the bulb with a 1 and just increase like this for possibilities, and then we can start with a 9 at the end here, and we can work our way down and just fill in the possibilities in between. This is a trick I've shown before on this channel if you have watched some of my live solves. So that way you don't have to think about what is my min, what is my max. So that's always a nice way to start with a thermo. I'm not going to fill this one yet because we won't need it yet. But there's a few things to notice. One is, if you've done any kind of Kropki before, not just diagonal Kropki, you will know that it is on a black dot, it is not possible to have a 5, 7, or 9. So just to sort of go through that, if this were a 5, then we'd have to have a ratio of 1 to 2. And we can't multiply by 2 because then we'd have to put 10 in this cell, which is obviously not allowed. And we can't divide by 2 because it's an odd number, and so we can't put 2.5 in this cell. So we can't have any odd numbers that are greater than 4 because we can't multiply them by 2, and we obviously can't divide them by 2. For 1 and 3, which obviously can't be on this thermo, we said it had to be 5 through 9. But for 1 and 3, you can double them and get the opposite on the other side. So basically you can think about 5, 7, and 9 can't be on a black dot, which is really only relevant for this one part of the puzzle, but it's still nice to know for Kropki's. So we had 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 filled in here, but 5, 7, and 9 aren't possible. So that leaves 6 and 8 here. So this does a few things, but the first obvious thing is now the maximum is not 9. Now the maximum is 8. So we can go back down here and remove the maximum value all the way down the line, because if this, say, were 8, then this would have no values left because it has to be strictly higher than 8, and 8 is now the maximum. All right, so in addition to that, this 6, 8, well, these two cells are not separated by a Kropki dot, which means that they cannot be consecutive. So if we were to put a 7 into this cell, then it would eliminate both the 6 and 8. So we cannot have a 7 in this cell. So in general, we're going to see this a lot, where we have patterns in a single cell, which all see the same value, either consecutively or through the 1 to 2 ratio black dot. And there isn't a dot, and so then that removes that value. So in this case, 6 and 8 both see 7. And so we would be able to remove a 7 from all the diagonal cells. So we remove the 7 here, so that actually removes the 6, the 5, and the 4, because now this can't be 6 because that would eliminate all the possibilities on this due to the thermo rules. So now 3, 4, and 5 is not the same as 3, 5 strictly, because this diagonal here could still be 4. If this were 4, it would eliminate the 3 and the 5, but it would not eliminate the 4. So thinking about this backwards, I could still put a 4 here, and this would just end up being a 4. It wouldn't eliminate all possibilities. So 3, 4, 5 doesn't really do anything to its diagonals outside the box, but the diagonals inside the box is a different story. So for these two, these can't be 4. And the reason for that is because a 4 would eliminate the 4 from this cell for being in the same box, and it eliminates the 3, 5 because they're both consecutive with the 4. So, for example, a 4 here, this can't be 4 anymore because 4 is in the box already, and it can't be 3 or 5 because it's diagonal with a 4 and there's no white dot. So, just going back, that means that this eliminates a 4 from this cell. And now we can turn right back around and say this is 5 or 6, and for the cells, this is similar, for the cells that are in the same box and diagonal with it, that eliminates both 5 and 6. So again, if this were 5, that removes 5 for being in the box and 6 for being consecutive with no white dot. And 6 does the same thing. It removes 6 for being in the box and removes 5. So that's the last time I'm going to be quite so specific, but I will be using rules like this for the rest of the solve, so it's important to understand how that works. So if you don't, maybe go back, try it yourself, do what it takes to understand what I mean there. So this 5, 6 removes this 5, and so that actually propagates all the way down again, because now this can't be 4 and this can't be 3, because of the thermo rules. And now the 5, 6 here has another effect, which is that if this is a 5, then this can't be a 6 because of the consecutive rule. And if this is a 6, then this can't be a 6 because of the thermo. So this just can't be 6. So now we have our first digit filled, which is an 8 here. And we can immediately use the Kropki rule, where the only possible diagonal with an 8 on a black dot is 4. So just like outside here with the anti-Kropki with no black dot, 8 would eliminate 4s. Here, the 8 forces a 4. All right, so now this 4 is diagonal with this 3, 4, and there's no white dot between them. So this can't be a 3, so that makes this a 4. This 4 is diagonal with this 2, 3, and there is a white dot, and we know this can't be 5, so that forces this to be 3, because they must be consecutive. And finally, this 3 is diagonal with this 1, 2, and there is no white dot, so this can't be 2, so that makes this a 1. And this 4 makes this not be able to 5, so this is a 6. So now we have our entire thermo filled. All right, so the next thing to do is look at the rest of this black dot. So what can this cell be? Well, we know from Kropki it has to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, or 8. And obviously we have 4 and 6 in the box. We have 8 and 1 in the row. So that this is a 2 or 3. And so if this were a 2, that makes this a 1 or a 4, but it can't be 4. And if this were a 3, then that makes this a 6. So we have a 1, 6 here and a 2, 3 here. Now, if we look at the bulb of this thermo, obviously it has to be 1, 2, or 3. It can't be a 3 because that would be in the same box or row as this 3. So that leaves a 1 or 2 here, which means that this also has to be 1, 2, or 3 because it has to be consecutive with 1 or 2. But 3 and 1 are both not allowed. So that forces a 2 here. And so that has to be consecutive with this, which forces a 1 here. This 1 can't be consecutive with this, which forces a 3 here. And then this 3 is on a black dot, which puts a 6 here. So now we have both black and white dots done, which means we no longer have to think about the positive constraint. We only think about the negative constraint for the rest of this puzzle. And the only other constraint on this puzzle is this thermo. So let's take a look at what can be here. So this has to be 5 or higher. And it can't be 9 because it is not at the end of the thermo. So here's our possibilities here, but we're going to do some quick eliminations. So it can't be 6, and it's diagonal with the 6. Sorry, it can't be 6 because of the column, if that's not clear. And diagonally with this 6 eliminates the 5 and the 7. So actually this must be an 8, and that forces the end of the thermo to be a 9. So now we have pretty much all the constraints fulfilled for this puzzle other than normal Sudoku rules and the anti-Kropki rules. So basically there's no whites or black dots. So we have to make sure that we aren't a 1-to-2 ratio and we aren't consecutive on diagonals. Other than that, our thermos are used and our dots are used. So the first thing we'll do is start just by filling the candidates for box 2. So we can be 2, 5, 6, 7, or 9. This row eliminates 9. This column eliminates 2. This 4 eliminates both 2 and 5. And this 3 eliminates the 6. So that's a 7. I'm going to remove 7 from all these. This 7 eliminates the 6 from both of these. And the 8 eliminates the 9 from here. Now, this 5, 6, again, we see this a lot. It's in the same box as this diagonal, which means this diagonal can't be 5 or 6, or this couldn't be anything. So this 5, 6 eliminates 5, 6 from the diagonals in the same box, but not these two. Again, be very careful about that. So that actually forces a 2 in here. That gives us a 5, 9 pair in the box, and so this is the only cell for a 6. Okay, so next we can look at box 1, and I'll just fill the candidates again. So we can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, or 8 from the box. 2, 5, and 9 are eliminated from this row, so that's 2 and 5. And then we can eliminate 8, 7 from this row, and 1, 3, 4 from this row. This 8 eliminates a 7. This 9 eliminates an 8. This 6 eliminates 3 and the 5. This 9 eliminates 8 here. This 8 eliminates 7 and 4. And of course, this column, we have an 8. So now this 1, 3 eliminates a 2 from this cell. And if we look carefully, what would happen if 1 were not present in one of these two? So 1 were in one of these 3 instead. Well, that would make this 3 and 4, which breaks the rules of the puzzle, because there's no white dot between. So there must be a 1 in one of these two, which eliminates 1 from these 3. So now we can see 2 and 5 both see 4, so that eliminates a 4 from here. And if we look, 8's now limited to these two cells in the box, and these both see the center cell. So an 8's either here or here. Either way, that eliminates a 4 from here. So that actually places our 1, places our 3. So we can get rid of 3's from all of these. That gives a 2, 5 pair, eliminating 2, 5 from here. And the 2 and 5 both see this 4. That places a 7. So now and then the 7 eliminates the 7 here. That places 8 and 4. And this 2, 5 is not resolvable yet. So now we're going to take a look at, we're just going to kind of go around a little bit. We're going to take a look at box 4. So we're not going to get as many eliminations here, I believe, but let's try it. So let's start with everything but 8. But for this, we'll eliminate 3, 4, 2, 1. Here we eliminate a 6. This column eliminates 3, 9, and 6 from here. This 6 eliminates 7 and 5. This 2, 5 would eliminate a 4, but there isn't one. And this 3 eliminates 2 and 4. It would eliminate 6, but we don't have one there. This 8 eliminates 7 and 9. So this 6 eliminates 5 and 7. And in this column, we cannot have 4. In this column, we can't have 1. 8 eliminates 4. So 2, 3, and 5 all see 4 through either white or black dot rules. So that means the corners can't be 4. So that eliminates a 4 from here. 1 and 2 turns around and eliminates 2 from this diagonal. Now, something I didn't see, this 8 eliminates this 9. Placing a 6 here. So now 6 is eliminated from the rest of the box. And that is all we can do for this box at the moment. But we have very few candidates for these rows left. So we're just going to go through them all. So here the candidates are 1, 6, and 8. And this can't be a 1 because of the column. Here our candidates are 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the 3 here eliminates the 2 and the 4. This row is 2, 5, 7, and 9. This 6 eliminates the 5 and the 7. This 1 eliminates the 2. And here we have 5, 7, and 9. So now if we look, these two cells in this row are limited to, 6 is limited in these two cells for the row, which eliminates 6 from, I got a little ahead of myself. Obviously it's limited to these 3. This 3, 5 eliminates 6 from here because both 3 and 5 see 6 through the rules. So now 6 is limited to these two. And so those both see this one, eliminating 5 and 3, leaving just 2, 4. And might as well mark that 4s are limited to these two places. So now if we look at this 2, 4, they both see 2. So that will eliminate 2 from the two corners here. And so that places a 9, which eliminates 9s from these, making a 5-7 pair. That places 2, 5, 3, leaving a 2-4 pair here. So now we can take another look at this box, which we haven't visited in a bit. We can see that the 5 placed here eliminates 5s from all these. This 6 that we placed earlier does remove 3 and 7 from this cell, and also a 5 from this cell, and a 7. So now that leaves just 1 here. So 1 is placed. Now we have 2, 9, 7. Let's just do these eliminations from these. This is the only place that can be a 4. This 1 is in the box, so that's 3 and that's 5. And we can now fill the candidates for this box. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, and 9. 1, 5, and 9 are eliminated from here, making a 7, 8 pair. So 7 and 8 are eliminated here. And this 6 eliminates the 5. This 4 eliminates the 8, placing 7 and 8. The 8 eliminates the 9 from these two, placing a 9 here, because it's the only place for 9 in the box. And now if we look at this row, which has 3 candidates left, that's going to be 2, 3, and 4. This 2 eliminates both the 2 and 4, placing a 3. Whoops. Sorry. Eliminates 3 and 4, placing a 2. And this 2 now eliminates the 1, placing 5 and 1. So now this row has 3 candidates left, which is 6, 7, and 8. This 7 eliminates both 6 and 8, placing a 7 here, leaving a 6, 8 pair. Now you can see that we have a lot of columns with just 3 candidates, so we're just going to fill them. So this is 1, 2, 6, and this can't be a 2. This is 3, 8, 9. This can't be a 3 from the 2. This is 4, 5, 7, and this can't be a 5 from the 4. And here we need 2, 5, 7, and 9 with no eliminations. Here we need 3, 5, and 6 with no eliminations. Here we need 1, 4, 8, and 9. But 8 is eliminated here. 4, 5, 6, and 8. The 5 eliminates the 4 and the 6. And here, this is going to be too much, so we're not going to do those yet because we have all these pairs to deal with. So one of the final observations we can make here before we start having a lot of fun is this 5 and 8 does eliminate a 4 from here. So that means that 4 is limited to these 2 in the column. These 2 4s see this cell, limiting both 3 and 5, placing a 6. So now 6 is eliminated from these 2, leaving 3 and 5. So the 3s eliminate the 2 from here, leaving 2 to be here and here. The 2s eliminate the 4, leaving 4 to be here and here. The 4s eliminate the 3, leaving an 8, 9 pair, placing this 3. This 3 eliminates both the 2 and the 6, leaving a 1, 6, and 2. And this 6 should do something. Right, this 1 comes across here, eliminates a 1. This 2 sees that 2, placing a 2 here. 6 eliminates both 5 and 7 from here, placing a 9. That places 5 up here, 9 up here, 8 down here, number 8, and the 9 was placed, so that's a 1, 4. The 5, 7 pair in this row eliminates 5. This 5 here sees this, placing a 7. The 7 places a 5. One of these is a 4, that eliminates the 8 from here, sorry. So that places 9 and 8. This 8 sees the 5. And this is 5 and 3. So get rid of that corner mark. This can no longer be 6 or 8. That places a 4. So that leaves, whoops, 6 or 8 in this column. And we're just finishing up. Basically, this 5 sees this 6, so that's 8, 6, 1. The 1 eliminates the 2, so that's 4, 2, 7, 5. The 6 sees the 3, so this is 4, 3. 7's in this row, so that's 9, 5. And now we can fill this triple in. So we need 3, 6, and 9. This can't be 6 or 9, so that's a 3. And the 7 sees the 6, placing a 9, a 6, an 8, a 6, an 8. The last 3 here are, for the column, are 1, 2, and 7. So the 3 sees the 2's here, placing a 2 here. I guess we could have just seen that from the row. And this may look like a deadly pattern, but actually we have this 8 seeing this 7, so it's not. So we have 1, 7, 4, 7, 1, sorry, 4, and 1. And that is how you solve my 2 degrees puzzle. Hope you enjoyed it. It definitely had a logical path from start to end. And I hope you learned a bit more about how to do the diagonal logic. I think the anti-Kropki rules are extremely powerful. And there were 0 digits given on this whole grid, and it has a unique solution and a logical path to that solution. So I thought that was pretty cool. So again, I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more videos from me, it's helpful to subscribe so you don't miss them. I always put out a solve video for any puzzles I create, and I'm also trying to get into doing some live solves, which will be somewhat infrequent, but when I do get a good one, I will post it. And until next time, thanks for watching.